I'm here today with Joakim Hannibal, our new roast chief of operations or whatever the title has become. And when I say new, you're actually not that new anymore. You've been here like, what, half a year already?
Yeah, even more, 7 months I think now.
Time flies.
Yeah.
Well, welcome. I'm glad you could join me.
Thank you.
You've been at the Nordic Approach in the past and working in a bunch of places in Norway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm from
Norway.
I'm from Norway. Yeah. I started my career at Team Inderbo, and then I moved over to Nordic Approach. I was the country responsible for Colombia, so I did the sourcing from Colombia.
And that's actually also our reason for bringing you in today. We have a bunch of Colombian coffees on the table here. And the reason we have this many coffees in front of us is because we actually kind of missed the last round of these videos because we were just super busy opening a bakery. That has gone tremendously well, so I think we're doing fine. But now it was time to catch up on some of the coffees we've sent you, as well as the next 2 coffees leaving the roastery right now, actually. So here in front we have a bunch of Colombian coffees, but let's start brewing and then we can talk a little bit more about each of them.
Sounds good.
Just like that, we have a cupping ready. Let's start with the Desario over here. I'm gonna reach over. We're doing the double spoon system here to try and not...
COVID cupping?
Yeah, COVID cupping. Alright, so the Desario that we sent to you is actually a smaller accumulated lot from a select farmers in this association called Desario in Colombia. It's the first coffee that we bought from Colombia from this association. There's about 150 farmers who are members of it. But this is a small lot built with just a few of those farmers. Did you actually roast this yourself or did one of the other guys?
One of the other guys, yeah.
You can't take credit.
Colombian coffees can be quite challenging to roast actually, because the beans are quite big and they are dense. So to get the heat all the way through without scorching the outer parts, so it's easy to get them kind of roasty but green in middle, or
yeah, especially if you want to push it towards the lighter roast profiles, because then you really risk ending up with that like green core that is not a full development all the way through the bean. But let's move on to the next one. And this is a coffee I am super excited about tasting. I have not nearly drunk enough of this at home. It's a super limited lot. It's a pink bourbon from Jaime Casayas, one of the farmers we've been working the closest with for the longest time. You have heard about him probably before. It is Jaime and his son, Jaime Andres, who have this beautiful farm in Huila, in Colombia, and this is the pink bourbon variety. It's become very popular now. It's like some trend sometimes in coffee, even at the farmer level. Yeah. And the reason for the name, I should maybe mention, is that when it's fully ripe, it becomes this pink color, almost a little purple-ish in the hue. And it is a bourbon variety, so bourbon is one of the old varieties, one of the original varieties being planted. And I think it's a super exciting coffee because it's nothing like the geishas, and you're not tasting like a super weird fermentation or anything. It's a clean coffee, but with a very, very nice taste profile. Typically very sweet, the pink bourbon, distinctively sweet, I think. Yeah, and in a fun way, because for me it's like, I don't even know exactly how to describe it, but it's such a clean, elegant sweetness. It's almost like refined sugar in that it's so clean. Some like delicate tropical fruits as well, like apricot and like really nice. Yeah, and a very natural sort of fruit sweetness. Where you sometimes get coffees that have a lot of sweetness, but it's from fermentation or something where it's combined with some acidity or like a honey process or something that is not as clean and elegant as this. This literally to me tastes a little bit like you've added a little bit of pure white sugar to it and mixed it up. It's that kind of sweetness for me.
True.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the next one. This is Norberto, and now we're switching regions from Huila down towards Tolima.
Up, actually.
Up towards Tolima.
West, northwest, yeah.
Somewhere. So, what can you tell us about this region, Joakim?
It's actually quite relatively close to it's a neighboring district to Huila. It's west-northwest.
But it's still a drive that's like roughly the longest distance of Denmark or something.
Yeah,
to get here, so, but relatively close. Yeah. But also seems to me like there's some hidden gems to be found there. And from what I experienced, and correct me if you find different, is that some of those are more fruit toned, like in the sort of like the heavier fruit notes. Is that right, or?
That's right. Generally, I would say Huila. When I think of Huila, I think more of stone fruit and tropical fruits and so on.
Yeah.
And in Tolima, I think more like you said, like maybe more like berries and often herbal notes as well.
Yeah. Okay. Do you like that, the herbal notes, or is that like it can be good and can be bad, or?
Yeah, it can be. In the beginning, I thought it was like a bit off-putting because it's not so often you find it.
Yeah.
But I've learned to like it, and now I really love it because it's something different, which mixes it up a little bit. It's boring to drink the same cup profile all the time.
You actually also put on the espresso roast for the cupping, which is something that a lot of people don't do, but you cup every single batch of espresso that you roast as well.
Yeah.
How is it different cupping espresso?
When you know the coffee, you can also imagine, by tasting it here, you can imagine how it's going to taste on the espresso machine.
Yeah. But this is also a slightly darker roast, but a slower profile as well to accentuate the body and the sweetness.
Exactly.
And also kind of balance the acidity a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So that once it's put through the espresso machine, it's not overly acidic. And then we get to the next two coffees, which is what is going out right now, actually. And again, it's a Colombian from Edilfonso. And the reason we are sending out so many Colombians right now is because it's the season.
Hey.
And we're getting, our second shipment has actually come in with all these coffees. So we get two different shipments from Colombia because, as you know, they harvest pretty much year round, or at least in two sort of different harvest times.
Yeah.
And the first shipment from Colombia we got already back, was that in October?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the second one here came in this side of New Year. I can't even remember exactly when.
Late January.
Yeah. And so we've been just rolling them out one at a time while they're fresh and delicious. Now we're back in Huila again. Edilfonso is one of the other farmers that we've been working with for a number of years. And Edilfonso Yara and his wife are just amazing producers that, I mean, they are some of the people who impressed us the most on the first visit. That was actually Peter Dupont's visit, by being super enthusiastic about producing coffee. The whole family is involved in coffee. If you go back, watch some of our previous videos, Peter Ebdrup, who sources this coffee and goes to Colombia every year, has loads of stories to tell from visiting and about that whole family. The daughter is now a coffee cupper and works in tasting coffees, and it's kind of exciting to see that a new generation is growing up in coffee and feeling enthusiastic about it. I think this is super nice, very delicate and
very clean, transparent.
Yeah, really, it's my kind of morning coffee.
Yeah.
And then together with Edilfonso, we have something that's now a big contrast. We're staying on that side of the Atlantic, but we are going down to Brazil. So from the third largest to the largest producer of coffee in the world. And to one of the largest farms as well, actually. Daterra Coffees. Also a B Corp, I should mention that. Also a leader in terms of sustainability on a global scale. Been working with Rainforest Alliance, UTKP, a number of certifications in order to transform their programs into coffee as well.
Very different philosophies kind of are behind these coffees. In Colombia, it's mainly smallholders. Average farm size is 2 to 5 hectares. How many hectares do you think Daterra is?
I can't remember, but it's a lot. And Daterra is actually technically 2 or 3 farms put together. It is so big that they have their own dry mill, which is a bigger dry mill than you find in a lot of places in Colombia, for example. It's super big. And sometimes you might think big is bad, but I think in Daterra's case, they have used all their power for good. It started almost as a passion project from Luis Pascual, but he came from the countryside as a kid, and he wanted to get back into coffee and work with an agricultural product where he could also work more with sustainability. That was his drive, and over the years he's really proven that he means what he says. They were the first farm, I think, in the world to start vacuum packing coffee, which is basically now the standard for the highest quality coffees around the world. They developed a sorting process using UV light many years ago, actually modifying a machine made to sort blueberries into coffee, because that can take out a lot of the underripe coffees that haven't been removed earlier in the process. And that's just a couple of examples of the many things they do, both on the farm and in the dry mill. And a few years ago, they actually tore down their whole wet mill to rebuild it from scratch because they felt they could do better. In the cup, it's a very different profile.
Yep.
How would you describe it, Mr. Cupper?
The acidity is lower. It has more thicker body, like a thicker mouthfeel. It's toned down the fruit, but it's turned up for the volume for the nuts and the chocolate.
Yeah.
So it's, which is also very general. The main difference between these 2 coffees.
Yeah, but I think here it's super milk chocolate like. With a little bit of like a nougat kind of touch to it, that's the nuts coming in. So it's and I think it's a fun contrast here because you're tasting a coffee with, I would say, like a medium high acidity. It's nothing like the African coffees in the Edilfonso, and then something with, I think, out of our range, the lowest acidity of our whole range. 2 very exciting coffees. Yeah. Thank you for joining me, Joakim.
Thanks
I think you'll come back again another time and share your wealth of knowledge. Thank you for having us, and thank you for watching.